I'm proud to announce that we work with our partners at Activision, who are going to bring back the original Crash, Crash 2, and Crash Warped, fully remastered from the ground up for PlayStation 4.
So Crash Bandicoot is coming back this fall with the release of Skylanders Imaginators, and although it's just a Skylanders game, I'm still very excited to play a new game with Crash in it again after almost 8 years now. The Crash Bandicoot remasters for PS4 were also confirmed, and I am super anticipating the release for that as well. However, with all these recent announcements, my brain became nostalgic for the year 2008 again. So when I first created my YouTube account, my first one out of like 10 different accounts, the first type of videos I began watching were old video game commercials. There were accounts that would upload old Crash Bandicoot commercials, and one day, while watching one of them, I saw in the related section a Japanese Crash Bandicoot commercial. I watched it and...
Crash Bandicoot 2いよいよ発売。今度はゲームでも踊っちゃう。
So yeah, let's just say I was confused but amused at the same time. The Crash Bandicoot I knew in the States was this in-your-face character with an attitude and this snarky persona that was proud to be in the 90s.
Hey kids, always recycle. To the extreme! Busted!
Okay, maybe not that extreme, but in the US, Crash Bandicoot was heavily marketed on the idea that this was a Sonic-type character. Someone who wanted you to buy his game, and he will go to great lengths in order to do so.
On me?
Excuse me. You are so totally whipped. I'm Brad. Let's ride a bicycle built for two. Then we can go to the potpourri store and then go buy sheets. Would you rather be at home shooting a bazooka or watching a chick flick? Chick flick, bazooka. Chick flick, bazooka.
Let me in, Brad.
Who's that?
Let me in. Brad.
I don't know.
Brad?
However, in Japan, things were different when it came to Crash Bandicoot. I think Jason Rubin, co-founder of Naughty Dog, said it best when he stated,
producers who would look at the game and go, oh, he's just so aggressive, it's just not cute, it doesn't work. And I remember going out, not for the Japanese, he wasn't Mario. Okay. So I remember specifically the senior Japanese executives sitting in Naughty Dog's offices and just shaking their heads, and I could tell we were going to get a "this is not coming out in Japan." So we took a lunch break, and I ran out to Charlotte Francis, who was our lead texture artist, and also did. And I said, "Do me a favor, take his eyes, make them into little black and white Pac-Man, close his mouth, whatever you have to do. I don't want teeth. I don't want an aggressive stare. I want a cute smile. Round him out a little bit.
Teeth.
Bingo. He starts with teeth. So
he's all points.
And get me a sketch. And Charlotte, as quickly as she could, did it. We came back from lunch. I put that sketch in front of the Sony Japanese representatives, and they looked at it, and they looked up and smiled, and Crash became a big part of the international launch from that single sketch.
So that's why Crash is so different in Japan than he is in America. Let's show a few examples. Here's the opening from the third game, Crash Bandicoot Warped. First is the NTSC opening, and the second is the Japanese opening.
Sony Computer Entertainment America presents a Universal Interactive Studios production. A game created and developed by Naughty Dog. Crash Bandicoot Warped. Press start to begin.
Sony Computer Entertainment. Universal Interactive Studio. Naughty Dog.
間を押すのだ。
So yeah, we have two very different ideas from two different cultures trying to decide what Crash's persona should be like. Even the cover arts will show that Japan tried to market him as cute and cuddly, while the US tried to market him as crazy and cool. That is extremely thought-provoking to me, because here you have a game made by a Western developer that blew up in Japan because it was marketed differently there than in the States. Heck, Crash even had his own manga. But that's the interesting part. If Crash was marketed like he was in the US, would it have sold well in Japan? Well, Sony was a little weary because, like Jason said, Crash needed to be tweaked in order to satisfy Sony of Japan, and because he was tweaked ever so slightly, the higher-ups approved and the game was shipped and marketed in Japan. However, this raises another question. Could this have worked nowadays? If Crash was this brand new IP releasing for the first time on the PS4, could a crazy and wacky marketing strategy work for this gen's gamers? Honestly, that's for you to decide. I know that may seem like a cop-out answer, but I honestly do not know, and that's the fascinating part about all of this. Marketing and advertising changes all the time, and different cultures may adapt to the new marketing or purchase something else. Naughty Dog's next series after Crash, Jak and Daxter, sold pretty well in Japan, but when Jak 2 was released, the advertisers couldn't market it in Japan as this cute and cuddly game because that wasn't what the game was at all. So as a result, it sold poorly in Japan because marketers couldn't do what they did with Crash with Jak. So the answer to the question of Sony trying to market Crash as a crazy and in-your-face character would work nowadays in Japan is maybe yes and maybe no. And that's why I titled this video Crash Bandicoot Culture Diversity and the Importance of Marketing. Because, as Jason Rubin said, in order for Crash to be successful, he needed to satisfy Sony of Japan's higher-ups. And because he did with the new redesign, that's why Crash was able to sell so well in Japan, because of the importance of marketing. However, after all of this, I personally learned a lot about culture and why people in a culture sometimes prefer one kind of marketing over another. But the biggest thing that I took away from all these commercials and all these interviews is that in the end, we're all playing the same game. We have this one game series being marketed in two drastically different ways. In America as this in-your-face and smart aleck attitude, and in Japan as this soft and cuddly mascot that hosts cooking shows with Parappa the Rapper and dances with bikini chicks. But even though these marketing strategies are completely different from one another, in the end, we're all playing the same game. And that is what is interesting about all this. The fact that Crash Bandicoot was tweaked ever so slightly in Japan and was advertised completely different there, but both the US and Japan cultures were playing the same game at the end of the day, that is awesome. So although Crash looked different on the cover, he still played the same on the disc, even if there were tweaks here and there. Overall, that is who we are as human beings. We created cultures in order to celebrate our uniqueness and diversities. But at the end of the day, we are all connected and united through our passions and the things we love to do. And in my view, Crash Bandicoot has shown that two cultures separated hundreds and hundreds of miles away can enjoy the same game together, even if it seems a little different at first. So welcome back, Crash. I hope you are brought back with open arms from both the old and the new communities.
Yeah, that's right. No t-shirt tonight, but